president full credit.
I give the president and the administration credit. The fact is that we could have ended this conflict a lot earlier if we had used the full weight of U.S. air power instead of leading from behind, and we wouldn't have the 30,000 wounded and thousands, hundreds if not thousands who are killed.
I'm joined now by Dick Harpootlian, the Democratic Party chairman of South Carolina, and Carol Swain, professor of political science and law at Vanderbilt University Law School. Carol, let me start with you. A lot of Republicans had more praise, frankly, for France and Britain after the death of Muammar Qaddafi, and in fact, some had to be reminded. They amended their statements to say, you know, American servicemen served well. They obviously were behind the Tomahawk missiles and the air refueling early on. Why does the president not get more credit?
I think that the Congress should be debating the fact that this president has involved us in so many foreign conflicts without congressional approval. And so members of Congress, I think the Republicans are missing an opportunity here. It may seem like victory, but we don't know what the unintended consequences will be of the Arab Spring. We know that a lot of African Libyans have been killed, are being killed, and not everyone in Libya is celebrating. Nor do we know if the country is ready for democracy.
Well, do you believe that they would be better off, that these countries would be better off continuing under the rule of these dictators?
I think that stability is important, and what we have done is destabilize the entire region. We don't know what the consequences will be, and we've made Israel less safe, and we've also made Coptic Christians. I mean, many people are less safe because of the destabilization of the Middle East. We don't know if this is something to celebrate. It will take time. But in the meantime, this president involves us in so many conflicts.
Well, Dick, our recent poll shows the president actually gets high marks on foreign policy from the American people. Do you think this second guessing by the Republicans is smart or even fair?
Well, I don't think it's fair, and I would disagree with your other guest. I think that the brutal dictator of Libya has met a brutal end and good riddance. And I think that what's happening in the Middle East is democracy is coming. It's messy, there's no question about it. But this president stepped in and helped take a brutal dictator down, and now we have to help that country, Libya, put the pieces back together again. And as was pointed out a moment ago, it's a very small, relatively small country. This Arab Spring can be a good thing if we assist these countries moving into democracy. Now, you know, the Republicans, Mitt Romney, was very critical of President Obama's role in Libya. He was too aggressive, and it wasn't aggressive enough. And this morning, again, you hear Mitt Romney and the other Republicans praising the British and others, but unwilling to give this president credit. This is the Republican problem. They're unwilling to give this president credit or assistance. We don't need to be debating anything in Congress about this. We ought to be as aggressive as we have been, and we ought to let the Pakistanis know that if they continue to assist Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, that we'll deal with them in much the same way.
Well, clearly, Carol, there can be some disagreement about, for example, when we should have gone in, and you're not sure we should have gone in at all. But you have on the Republican side Michelle Bachmann, who didn't even know Libya was in Africa. You have Rick Perry, who jokes about Pakistan as that Pakistani country, and of course you have Herman Cain with his Becky, stand jokes. These are places in the world that are critical to New York, to American national security interests. Can they be taken seriously?
I'm not going to defend any of the Republican congressional candidates on this issue. I think the American people need to be concerned about the fact that we are promising billions of dollars of foreign aid to nations, money that we don't have, money that we're borrowing from China, while Americans suffer. So I think President Obama would be better off if he focused on domestic problems rather than being the liberator of the Middle East. Trying to be the liberator of the Middle East, while I think all he's doing is destabilizing the region and creating unnecessary chaos. And we should be focusing on those those missiles that are missing, and the fact that we don't know, what the future is going to hold for that region.
Well, that is one of the concerns, Dick, without a doubt. You have all these missiles that were just basically left. Reporters said they could have basically walked in and taken them. So is there a little bit of a tightrope for the president to walk about what the U.S. role should be going forward?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's any question about it. We need to secure those Stinger missiles to make sure they don't get in the wrong hands. We need to make sure that we render any assistance to a legitimate Libyan government in rebuilding this country. They've got plenty of money. They've got oil resources. And we ought to assist them doing that and make sure that radical Islamists like al-Qaeda don't play a role in that. And we can do that. We can't come back to this country and shut our eyes to what's going on in the world. We need oil. That's where it is. We need we have strategic interests in the Middle East and all over the world, and this president understands that. Every president since Teddy Roosevelt's understood that. When we withdrew after World War I, it was devastating. That allowed Nazi Germany to rise. The history is full of examples where this country has drawn back into itself, and the consequences thereof are not good. So this president's doing the right thing. Mitt Romney, Rick Perry, the rest of these folks are just floundering.
So much to talk about going forward. Carol Swain, Dick Harpootlian, thank you both so much. And new details are surfacing this morning in that unbelievable